I'm an art professor at Gallaudet University, which is the only university in the world for deaf and hard of hearing students. And I teach varied classes with design, photography, and video. Here's some of my work. So this is a basic idea of what I might teach my students. As an artist who has a cross-specialized approach to communication, cognition, and technology, often people tell me that your artwork is unpredictable. And I say it is because I stretch my mind by working with different mediums. So I never stay in one realm of art. I want to be outside of the box always in thinking of how to challenge myself in different ways. I've worked in Borderlands for several years now, and I'll explain what I mean by Borderlands. Basically, with photography, what I'll do is I am obsessed with putting two pictures together, either side by side or vertically. And the designer in me is obsessed with lines. Graphic design is obsessed with lines and charts. But because I don't use one medium over another and I don't choose to identify in one world, either the deaf or hearing world, I feel like my world is smack dab in the middle between the deaf and hearing worlds. Berry Chocolate is a film that I produced for a festival in Egypt, in Cairo. And I made a film about me being the only student in a hearing classroom. And in French class, they were singing Frère Jacques, you know the song? And of course, at that time, I had no idea what they were saying, but I wanted to be part of the group. I didn't want to look like I didn't know what they were saying, so I would follow what they were saying. And to me, I was singing Fairy Chocolate because I was basically lip syncing along with the song. I was just following the movement. So I would just say Fairy Chocolate over and over. So that's where this comes from. That's where I got the idea for that art. And the whole point of the mouth movement repeatedly is because I was just following the repetition of the mouths that I saw, but I didn't know what they were saying. So I was in their world trying to figure out what I should do to fit into this group. And I feel that many deaf people experience this in the hearing world and in the world in general, just trying to figure out what they're saying and just trying to be part of it. But really, it's a big mystery to all of us. So crab theory is one that's very complicated and controversial within the deaf community and probably other marginalized communities as well. And what it is basically is if you have a bucket or a pail of crabs, each one of them is going to try to crawl out of the bucket, but they can't escape because the other crabs that are inside pull them down as they escape. And our biggest obstacles are people who believe in one idea or are involved in one activity, but when a situation happens, they don't take responsibility for it. So there's sort of a double standard there. See, they can't get out. So I set live crabs in my solo show last year on campus at Gallaudet University, and I showed what it would look like if there were crabs in this garbage can. And people looked around, and it was interesting because the older generation understood the concept of crab theory, while younger students didn't have a full understanding. Some did, some didn't. But they didn't really understand the depth of meaning behind crab theory and how it affects them. So we had a public installation on campus as well, with ropes, as you can see here in these pictures. And people would just mosey around and see what it was like, and then I would give a brief presentation about the installation. And the bottom line was basically, crab theory is about not supporting other people's ideas or creativity and other people pulling your creativity down. If you have an idea, you need to find people who will support that idea, not pull you down, to make sure that everyone has a similar chance. And it's all about timing, and everyone has their time. So there's no reason to pull people down or stop any growth with other people. So when you think about art and thinking outside the box, of course there are consequences when you do. There are a group of people who follow an ideology and want you to follow that ideology. And if you do something a different way, they discourage that. So think about yourself and how you foster and grow other artists. And you see here, individuality is a lost form of art. And years ago, I went to a flea market, and I saw this beautiful print of Edward Curtis, who would work in a native village, and it was the 1800s to the early 1900s. And this photo itself reminded me so much of Princess Leia. So I had this connection to Star Wars, and I wanted to purchase this, so I did. And later there was a group show, the theme was Star Wars, and I thought, oh, this is the perfect opportunity. I have this print, what can I do with it? And so I wanted to add beads to make a choker, like in Return of the Jedi. And then I spray painted a gun so that it was the same gun that she used in the movie as well. And there was a myth that George Lucas got the idea from the Hopi village for Princess Leia's famous buns. So I thought that that would be a neat way to relate all of our work. So this is what I made. And soon after, it was well received in general at the show. And after that, I had a potential buyer who was looking for a female character. So I thought, oh, this is perfect. So I wanted to show them this piece of art. And they threatened me with cultural appropriation because of this. And I said, this is your decision whether or not you want to purchase this, but are you restricting my artistic freedom? So when I think about cultural appropriation, I want to make sure that I'm focusing on art about myself as a deaf person, as a brunette. I can't make art about hearing people because I'm not hearing. And then I thought, this is just going to complicate things way too much. I'm not sure which box I fit in or how I should incorporate my artistic freedom into my work. So what happens to art without freedom? It becomes small. So this is something I've done. I've been teaching for the past 12 years at Gallaudet University. And almost every semester, I'll pass out this paper to students. It's just a square on a piece of paper. And I tell them, write whatever you want on it. And I give them 5 or 10 minutes to draw what they will. And I always get results that look like this, and this, and this. You notice how many drawings are in the boxes? It's ironic that one of them, who happened to draw outside the box, is deaf and blind, so they couldn't see the box, which I thought was great. So are you thinking inside or outside the box? That's all I have for today. If you'd like to see more of my work, my website was up there, and please see me later.